episode of Bullheaded. Brand new year. Back with the guys, P-Bush and Zhu. How you guys doing?
Doing well, man. Welcoming 2021. These NFL playoffs coming up, and my Bears backseating into the playoffs.
They barely squeezed in, but they did squeeze in, man. 8-8, they got in the playoffs. Thank God for that second wild card. That came up super clutch. But you know what I gotta say? Fantasy football champion, baby. First place. Thank you, Alvin Kamara. That guy's the savior. Oh, I could have got
6 touchdowns.
Ridiculous, man. He's going to be the number one pick in fantasy football. Can't hate on that next year, but that's for next year. But I'm ready for NFL playoffs right now. It's going to be exciting. I'm hoping those stud QBs make it to the Super Bowl because I don't want no defensive battle. I want all offensive scorings. I want bombs. I want Devontae Adams TDs. I want to see all that. So I'm hyped for the playoffs this year.
Too bad the Bears are going all the way, Zoo. So.
Oh, man. Yeah. Playoffs are starting. We got a lot of interesting teams. I see the NFC East got in with Washington. That was probably one of the worst teams to get into the playoffs, but we'll see how they do this weekend. But we're going to start with the NFC, and I'm going to get the guys' thoughts on who they think is going to run the table through the NFC. And P-Bush, I want to start with you.
Whew. All right. Looking at the Nickelodeon matchup, I will say, premiering. They're going to be getting slimed while whoever scores touchdowns and all that. The Saints-Bears game, man, this one's going to be interesting. I mean, they had a regular season matchup. You know, the Saints took it in overtime by 3 points. I know that their wide receiving core was kind of depleted. You know, Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Thomas out. But the Bears had a lot of changes too. I mean, Foles was the starting quarterback at that time. Utter disaster and horrible decision by the Bears organization to do that. Absolutely atrocious. We know Mitch can move better in the pocket. The Saints are great at rushing the passer. They were getting to Foles at will. And David Montgomery, man. Talk about
fantasy superstar, man. Fantasy superstar, man.
He finished as a top 5 running back in fantasy this year. He's a monster out of the passing game. Pretty consistent 100-yard game the past 6 weeks or so. Giving you 25 a game. He's deadly in that short passing game, which Trubisky and the Bears are all about. That quick slant to Allen Robinson. I think this is going to be a tight game. I could see it also going into overtime. I'm actually going with my Bears, man. I think they could pull. I think they're the best team that has the ability to upset this week. I know a lot of people think Washington might have a chance against the Bucs as well, with Chase Young saying, I want Tom. But I think the Bears could pull this one off. I think that they could ruin Drew Brees' career. There's been a lot of rumors that this could be his last year playing. I would love for the Bears to send him out in the first round in the wild card. I don't care if they got in last second. Do some damage, boys, because I think they're going to take this one home. What do you think about that game, Zoo?
Okay, man. You know my feelings about both these teams. I don't like either of them. My feelings. Mitchell Trubisky, Mr. 16 tutties, 8 picks, QPR of 61. That is bad, man. That is below average. He's a below average quarterback, right? So you got your below average quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. I don't believe him. So they got to rely on the run game. David Montgomery must go off for them to win. They got to control the ball because, man, they got weapons. I'm not a fan of Drew Brees right now with his old age, 40 years old. I'm not trusting that guy. So
I agree.
You got to control the ball and not allow him to feed it to Alvin Kamara, the best player in fantasy football. His ability to catch, his ability to run. It is unbelievable watching that guy play because, man, I did watch that man play, and that guy delivered me a title. So obviously, with the Saints, they're going to be giving him the football. But man, I like your picking the Bears. 10-point spread. Vegas don't like the Bears at all, but I see a little more closer. I see more of a field goal game right here. I think it's going to be a close, contested game. They're going to get to Drew Brees, man. They're going to be attacking Khalil Mack. Hopefully got to eat his ass up. But, man, I got to go with a close game with the Saints, man. I think only win by a field goal. Only a field goal, man, because I do not believe in the Saints. I'm going to keep saying that until they lose. But if they beat the Bears,
that's not that much of a feat, let's be honest.
Yeah, dude. They barely got in 8-8, like 8-8. That means you're mediocre. You're a 500 ball club. Usually in a regular NFL season, you miss it because no second wild card. But with this additional wild card, man, Go for it, Mitch.
Yeah.
You got a contract on the line, Mitch.
Yeah,
If you
he
beat
does.
the Saints, you might get a contract extension, which I
Very
would say
well.
no. I would say that would be terrible, but you might get it for being the New Orleans Saints, who has a better record than the Buccaneers, and they had a really, really good season. So if Mitchell Trubisky pulls this off, 10-point dogs, he might get a contract extension. So he better ball out.
And no fans in the Superdome. I think that's also a big thing. So there's really, I mean, the home field advantage actually ends up helping both teams because it's indoors, right? So Trubisky, you don't have to worry about the weather in Chicago. You know, you don't really got to worry about the loud noise in the dome. Obviously, they'll have all the, like with the 2K sounds and Madden sounds like they do in sports nowadays. But I think this one could end up being very interesting, Zoo. I think it'll be a close one whichever way. The only good thing I have to say is the Bears now have a very reliable kicker. So if it comes down to that, he broke Robbie Gould's single season percentage record, kicking 94%. That's Tucker level, man. I'm glad to have a good kicker in Chicago because we're back in the playoffs right now. But man, I think another marquee matchup. What do you think about the Saints-Rams game or Seahawks-Rams game?
Seahawks-Rams. This one, I gotta take a look at this, man. This is a coin flip, man. I'm saying this is a coin flip. So when I was breaking it down, obviously the Rams, best defense in football.
For sure.
Fantasy football, real life football, everything football. They sack the QB. They have the best. Problem. Yeah, they have the best passing defense in football. Yards per game, man, they are unbelievable. So Russell Wilson, he got his weapons, right? He got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, explosive weapons. But you're against the best defense. So they're going to have to be more reliant on the run. Chris Carson, I'm not the biggest believer in Chris Carson. That dude always injured in and out of the lineup, man. Like doesn't have to need to get in rhythm on the run. So Russell's going to have to be chucking the football. And against the best defense, I gotta pick the Rams. I'm picking the Rams. I don't like Jared Goff. I think he's a pretty average quarterback, man. He got paid a lot of money because of Sean McVay, brilliant head coach. That defense, their schemes. I love their weapons with Robert Woods, man. Robert Woods is a great weapon.
Monster.
Man. So Jared Goff got some weapons, even though their rushing attack, obviously not as good without a prime Todd Gurley. But I think the defense can get it done against a Seattle Seahawks team that's surprisingly been struggling, like on offense. Like the past couple of games, even DK Metcalf had a couple off games against the Rams, man. He had 80 yards total against 2 games. So maybe this is their kryptonite. Maybe it's their kryptonite. Maybe. So I'm going to go with the defensive team on this one.
Wow, that's a surprise. You never do that.
I always pick offense, but I don't believe it. I don't really hope
that you're not sending the Rams to the Super Bowl because that was one of the worst Super Bowls I've ever watched.
That Super Bowl played the Patriots.
There was one good play, and that's the only highlight, and it's when they Brady finally threw the ball down the field to Gronk and set him up for an easy touchdown. So I'm hoping the Rams, don't make it that far. I actually, at this point when we're recording this, we don't know whether or not Jared Goff's even going to play. Mm-hmm. He's quote unquote looking good, but he's uncertain.
I'm putting him in. This is a playoff. Show up, make your money.
Exactly. So I'm going to take this as he's going to start, but does that mean he's going to be 100%? So I don't know. He's coming off of surgery, and it's very quick. He might be looking fine, but who knows what happens when he gets hit, by whomever. Jamal Adams flying in, dude. The Seahawks defense has actually stepped up relatively well the past couple weeks. They held the Rams to 9 points. That may have been the game that Goff got injured. I'm not 100% sure, but I think Jamal Adams could cause a lot of problems. Obviously, their offensive line in Los Angeles is pretty damn good. But I am going to go with the Seahawks. I think that Chris Carson will actually end up having a pretty good game. I also think Cam Akers will play well for the Rams. So I think that both teams are going to actually end up having to run the ball, mainly because Goff's uncertainty and the secondary of the Rams, that's going to cause Russ a ton of problems. How much offense can Russell create versus Goff? And I just think Russell Wilson is a beast at that. He always has been, and he'll find a way. They always find a way, man. The Seahawks always find a way to at least get to the divisional. It's very rare that they lose quickly. It happens, but I'm going with the Seahawks. I think they'll win by a touchdown.
Touchdown!
I think they'll win by a touchdown. But I actually don't think it'll be as low scoring as some of their previous games. I think it'll open up a bit. So it's going to be tough.
That's interesting, man. But switching to the AFC, man, we got the Bills and the Colts, man. Bills, Colts, Josh Allen versus Phillip Rivers. Who do you got?
This game's interesting. I think the Colts are actually in the AFC. If you're looking at, I don't consider the Titans-Ravens game an underdog overdog. I think
I
that's
think that's a pickup. I think it's a
right.
pick-em.
It's a pickup game. So if we're looking at the other game, that's probably the one where I could see an upset happening. I don't necessarily think the Colts will dominate on defense just because Josh Allen, their offense is on fire right now. And it's not that like they, their running back game. I mean, yeah, they have the tandem in Moss and Singletary. It can get the job done, but it's all on Josh Allen. And the fact that John Brown is back, that is huge because that not only
he's the third option.
I mean, I'd say he's the second. He's the second red zone option. He's the second red zone. Beasley might get more targets. John Brown's going to get like the touchdown targets, the deep balls, and that'll actually just help Stephon Diggs more than anything. But Diggs is going to get his no matter what.
1,500 yards, man. 1,500 yards. Fantasy
ridiculous.
Superstar, man. Ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. But I think Jonathan Taylor will have a good game. I'm interested to see how they handle Hines in the backfield coming out in the passing game. Phillip Rivers loves to use him, especially when they're moving the ball down the field. They want to spread the ball out. Phillip Rivers doing those little shorthand throws all the time. Who knows if he can throw it more than 40 yards now. But I think I'm going to go with the Bills in this one. I think a lot of people are thinking that the Bills are the biggest threat to the Chiefs coming out of the AFC. So I don't have them stomping the Colts. I actually have it as a touchdown game as well. But I think the Colts will actually put up about 28, and I think the Bills will put up around 35. So it could be a pretty high-scoring game. Definitely bet the over.
Oh, man. For me, man, it's great to see my new son, Josh Allen, doing so well right now. Won me my fantasy football championship. Thank you very much. I projected him as the next Lamar Jackson. He pulled it off, having a great season. Congrats to him. Him and Stephon Diggs, man.
What a tandem.
That tandem is so great because they gave up a lot for Diggs. They gave up picks, right? But then worth it, man. 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns. That dude in the red zone, ridiculous. That dude route running, unbelievable, man. I'm so sad I did not have him on any of my fantasy football teams. Could have won some more leagues if I had some Stephon Diggs shares. But, man, that offense, I ain't betting against that offense, man. Because, even though the rushing attack, they had a little split carry, Zach, Moss, Devin Singletary, they're cute. 4 touchdowns each of them, 500, 600 yards. Not the biggest threat, but they just got to be decent, right? So you got the play action going. Josh Allen, the play action to a Diggs, to a Cole Beasley, and now a John Brown. Have mercy, man. And they're coached extremely well. I like the creativity in their play calling. So the offense,
a lot of weapons.
Dude. 35 points, man. If they drop 35, they're going to win because Phillip Rivers ain't going to put up that many points, man.
Dude.
Phillip Rivers, what's his best weapon on offense? Wide receiver. Who is it?
Probably T.Y. Hilton, who's actually been playing relatively well as of late. But he's got some young guys in Pittman. I think he really likes
Pittman solid.
He's got pretty solid depth at tight end, in my opinion, and he loves to throw to his tight ends. We saw that for years and years with Antonio Gates in San Diego when Rivers was there. But you know what, Zoo? We may have skipped over an NFC team, another old head, the Washington versus Tampa Bay game in the NFC, man. What do you think about that? You think Washington has a chance, 7-9?
Dude. Washington football team, man. I chose Tom Brady to make the Super Bowl this year, and I'm keeping with it, man. I'm not betting against Tom Brady. I'm not betting against Mike Evans. I'm not betting against Antonio Brown, Gronkowski. Woo! They are loaded, like I said, man. You got Fournette as a backup with Ronald Jones, man. Their offense, Bruce Arians' offense, if they lose to the Washington football team, that would be so embarrassing. As a sub-500 team, Jesus Christ, man. I'm sorry. That would be embarrassing because that team is loaded. They put all their chips in the middle, and you lose to a team that has Alex Smith, a man that broke his leg. And I can't even believe he's playing NFL football, man. That guy's a warrior. Guy's a warrior, man.
They need to rename the Comeback Player of the Year award to the Alex Smith Award, man.
Incredible, man. And he got his QB kicked out of the game.
Yeah.
Dwayne Haskins, he's not even on the roster anymore because of Alex Smith, man.
Chances. They gave him a lot of chances. But I think, this is a tough one because I think that people are underestimating Washington, and not saying that they'll win. I think they'll end up playing a decent game. I think that the pass rush could give Tom Brady some things to be concerned about. Chase Young, man, that boy is good. He's a monster. He has it right in front of him, and he knows what he wants. Right after they won that game to clinch the division, he wanted Tom Brady. He's like, we want him. We want Tom. I don't think that like I said, I don't think Washington's going to end up winning. It's good to see a new team in the playoffs. We really haven't seen Washington in there since the RG3 days. And I'm kind of glad it's not a 6-10 team getting in. At least they're 7-9.
Oh my Lord!
Even
6-10 team made the playoffs.
Jalen Hurts. But Zhu, you may be forgetting about another 7-9 team that shocked the world a while ago, and that was Marshawn Lynch and the 7-9 Seahawks beating the New Orleans Saints beast mode run. Man, it's very possible. You can't put it past. The NFC West used to actually be a very similar division to the current NFC East. A lot of 8-8, 7-9 teams. You never know what a team can do. Washington can be pretty defensive, which could cause Tom Brady a little bit of trouble. But I'm going with Tom. I think they'll pull off about a 30-17 win, something like that. Mike Evans, he's questionable, but they have two other arguably all-pro wide receivers in Antonio Brown and Godwin. So I'm not too worried about that. And he's got Gronk coming right down the middle of the field. So I'm going with Tom Brady, man.
Tom Brady. Dude, do you see if that man in his last week, he got his boy Antonio Brown paid, man. Those incentives, man. AB is happy. He got paid those incentives by getting that 100+ yards, man. AB is happy. Now they're locked and loaded to go for that Super Bowl run. And they better be there, man. They better be there because they are loaded, man. They are loaded, and I think they'll get it done. Washington football team, first round bye.
First round, yeah. But I also think that the Bucs may have a little bit problems with the running game. It really hasn't seemed that consistent, which could cause them issues, going forward if they do win in the first round, moving on to the divisional and possibly the NFC Championship game. It'll be interesting to see. But, another team that's had a little bit of issues with running the ball lately, the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, James Conner, Benny Snell, they're just not looking good. What do you think about that Steelers-Browns matchup? Man, also, shout out the Browns real quick, though, too. Congratulations for making the playoffs.
And they made a legit, man, 10 wins. 10 wins. And they lost to the Jets. They lost to the Jets and still got 10 wins, man. So, congrats to them. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. You know how I feel about those boys, man. That is the best running back duo I've seen in a while, man. Especially Nick Chubb's, man. They're getting another 1,000-yard season, multiple TDs, man.
Even being out for 4 games, 4 or 5 games.
Missed games, and he was Nick Chubb's an animal. But, man, when I see the Steelers-Browns, Kevin Stefanski getting that COVID situation, are you kidding me, man? They need their head coach. They need this is the head coach that turned around that clown show last year, man. What the hell happened last year? Cleveland Browns last year was supposed to be the surprise team. But then they had a clown of a head coach. He sort of reminded me of Jim Boylan of the Chicago Bulls. Yes, I said it. That clown show. And they got a real head coach in Kevin Stefanski, the man that unleashed Dalvin Cook last year. And now he's unleashing this rushing attack with a two-headed monster because Baker Mayfield, he's a nice quarterback. He ain't going to carry a franchise. But they knew that, so they feed the animals with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubbs. And I'm going with the Cleveland Browns. I said it. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns. I do not like the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. I remember when the Steelers were undefeated. I was buying 0 shares, man. I was buying no shares, especially with their rushing attack. Big Ben, even Juju Smith-Schuster having an off year, man. The weapons, I'm not too impressed. Okay, Deontay's pretty nice, man. He's pretty nice, but that offense, not scary at all.
No.
It's just not scary at all. And
Andy, they have a lot of weapons, and they do. They have 4 legit weapons in Juju, Deontay, Claypool, and Ebron. I think he can move the ball around, but can they do enough and get guys open without having that rushing attack against a team that knows them very well in Cleveland? I think Cleveland has and it's funny to say because the Steelers do have a great passing attack, but I think the Browns actually have the more balanced offense overall because of that running back tandem. But the key to me is actually how hurt Pittsburgh's linebacking core is and how they're going to be able to play against Kareem Hunt coming out of the backfield in the passing game. I don't see them stopping him at all. I think he'll end up torching him for 8-9 catches for 70-something yards, maybe a score, and that'll just get them down the field to allow Chubb to run 3 yards into the end zone. I think they're going to end up holding the ball for a lot longer than Pittsburgh, and that'll end up just kind of making them go crazy. But we saw Pittsburgh come back against the Colts, a pretty legitimate team, as we've seen them make the playoffs. So you can't really ever count the Steelers out, but like we said, these two teams know each other, so it'll be really interesting. But I'm going with the Browns as well.
You're going with the Browns? Wow.
The Browns, I think the Steelers' injuries could end up being the deciding factor, and just the fact that their running game has just been absolutely atrocious as of late. I am horrified with myself that I drafted James Conner this year in one league. I was left with no choice. I did not believe
the guy's talent.
In the second round, I should have just went and been like, you know what? I think David Montgomery is going to be a beast. I'm going to draft him in the second round. I should have done it hindsight.
Oh, man. And lastly, now we got the Titans versus Ravens. Your Super Bowl pick, man, Lamar Jackson. Are you still going to go with them?
No, hell no, man. Derrick Henry's about to rush for 200 yards on 6 yards a carry. But I do think Lamar is going to end up having a good game, but it's all on his back, man. We know that J.K. Dobbins can run the ball. We know that if they need to, even Gus Edwards can come in, and he runs very hard, and he's a pretty damn good running back too. Mark Ingram's always available as well, Mr. Bowling Ball. But Henry is on a mission, man. That man could have easily broken the single-season record for rushing yards, but they pulled him in a couple third quarters because they were blowing out teams so bad, mainly the Jaguars, let's be honest. But I'm going with the Titans, man. I think Tannehill will end up having a pretty good game, but they will rely on Derrick Henry. It's all going to come down to whether Lamar can actually get Mark Andrews and Marquise Hollywood Brown the ball. If he can actually do that and not just be running up and down the field all the time, I think the Ravens have a chance, but I'm going with the Titans, man. But this is going to be a close one as well. A little bit closer than last year.
Yeah, because this is the redemption year, man. Who gets a second chance opportunity against the same team that knocked them out last year? This is a blessing, man. And the best part is that Titans defense, not as good this year. Not as good. So right now, Lamar Jackson against I think it's a pretty mediocre defense with a new toy in J.K. Dobbins. Man, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm picking Lamar Jackson to win by a field goal. By a field goal, man. Because if it's the spread, I would have picked the Titans. But I'm saying Lamar Jackson is going to win this year and break the curse of losing in the first round of the playoffs, man.
Especially after getting on the Madden cover.
Like Lamar Jackson, you know my feelings about J.K. Dobbins out of the Ohio State University, but they gotta run the ball. But the bad part is, man, they can't fall behind.
No,
I don't want Lamar throwing the football. They need to go off to a head start against this team because King Henry might be the best running back in the NFL. 2,000 yards.
Yeah.
1,500 yards the year before. He goes up to 2K. Have mercy, man. Have mercy. Derrick Henry, fantasy superstar, running back superstar in the MVP conversation just for historic numbers. And he's top 5. He's not going to win it. You got to go with the QB. But to be in consideration as a running back,
it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous, man.
He would have won if he broke the record. I think you should. If you break a single season record, I think if it's not like catches or something like that, like when
McCaffrey more valuable than Aaron Rodgers.
Well, it's different because sure, Aaron Rodgers is probably having arguably the most efficient season of all time, It's absolutely what 50-something touchdowns and 5 picks or something like that. 48-5. I forget exactly the number. I lost track after 40. It's ridiculous, man. He's having a Mahomes year. Efficiency, man. He doesn't do too much. It's ridiculous that he's able to throw the ball that well in a driving blizzard in Lambeau Field against the Tennessee Titans. But dude, this is I think going to be the closest game and arguably the most fun game to watch is that Titans-Ravens game. Like we said, kind of a pick 'em. Could be a touchdown, field goal type game. I do have the Titans winning 31-24, man. I have them winning 31-24. So I think it could go either way, but I believe in King Henry, and I think they'll dominate time of possession.
Man, speaking of that bad man, Aaron Rodgers, the MVP of this league, man. Man, you got the Chicago Bears winning, right? So the lowest seed. So your Bears against my Packers, my man Aaron Rodgers versus your dude Trubisky. Let's go, baby! I want this to happen. I'm rooting for Trubisky to upset the Saints, man. I want that so bad, so I can see Aaron Rodgers with another butt whooping for Trubisky, man. That dude's gonna be 3 tutties, easy, man. 300 yards, 3 tutty. Another Aaron Rodgers performance, man. Let's go, man. Aaron Rodgers, no questions about it. Davante Adams with that historical season, 18 touchdowns. Like you said, putting up historical numbers like Randy Moss. And you got Aaron Rodgers with Aaron Jones putting another great season, top 5 season as a running back. Let's go, baby. And the Packers defense isn't atrocious. They're okay. They're not great. They've been looking a little better. So I say they're average. You give Aaron Rodgers the average defense, Super Bowl, let's go. No, man.
All right. You think so? Because I agree with you, because Aaron Rodgers has been the Bears' adopted father for about 12 years, if I'm being honest. He has owned us. We literally pay him. That's it. Like, I swear to God, he's our absolute kryptonite. We suck against him. I'm not saying we'll win the game. I'm just hoping it's like a field goal to touchdown type game. It's going to be interesting if Lambeau's weather conditions have anything to do with how the game is played. Everyone knows going into Lambeau in January is complete ass. It is atrocious. It is horrible. Aaron Rodgers somehow loves it.
So he plays better. He plays better for some reason. I don't get it.
The only thing is, and I think all the games that the Bears will play, obviously the Saints, and if they do move on, is all going to be reliant upon David Montgomery. It's literally all that. And Montgomery's actually played well against the Packers. But that was a close game against the Packers in Week 17 when the Packers were in full force. Let's be honest. They were going for that 1 seed. They didn't sit anybody. They played all out. It was a close game until Nagy decided to make the play calling. Are you kidding me? Once Nagy decides to step in and say, I'm going to get a little cute with this one, he runs a little out route and they jump in front. What is he doing? He needs to step away. He just needs to coach the team, be the leader. That still means the Bears are going to lose by at least 2 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah, you're a realistic Bears fan. Like Aaron Jones, 1,100 yards, 9 TDs, man. Aaron Rodgers with a historic 48 TDs, 5 picks. Packers moving on, baby. They moving on.
I do hope the Bears pick him off just one time just to piss him off a little bit, ruin his perfect streak for a while. But, yeah, I got the Packers moving on. What do you got in that other matchup, Zusi? You got Rams at Bucks then.
Yes. I'm going with Tom Brady, man. Like I said, man, I've been on Tom Brady since day 1 this year, man. The Buccaneers, I think, is one of the most talented football teams, one of the most complete football teams in the world. And I think that team's scary even for my Packers right now. So I see the Rams. Elite defense, man. So they got a shot. If it's like a low-scoring game, they get to Tom Brady, they keep hitting them, they can lose. It's not
impossible.
It's not impossible, man. And it sort of might remind me of that Patriots versus Rams game from that Super Bowl that you were talking about a long time ago, right? So, but then I see Tom Brady. I just see destiny, man. Destiny. I've waited so long for a Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers matchup. It needs to happen. 2021. I'm going with Tom Brady.
Yeah. I mean, so similarly, even though you have the Rams, Obviously, you're hoping the Bears had beaten the Saints, right? Which means the Bears would obviously play and lose to the Packers. You had Rams Bucks. Moving on with the Bucks Packers championship game. I agree with you, but I do have them beating the Seahawks. The Bucks beating the Seahawks. I think that'll be also a marquee matchup. We get to see Tom Brady versus Russell Wilson. This is a game of great quarterbacks playing against each other because Tom Brady decided to move to the other conference. Now we get to see him possibly play Russell. He could play Goff again, unless Goff re-injures his hand. And then Brady versus Rodgers, which I have as well in my NFC Championship game. I think they're going to dominate the Seahawks. I think the Bucks will dominate the Seahawks. Dominate. Jamal Adams may hit Tom Brady once or twice. He's a monster on those blitzes. He broke the single season record for most sacks by a secondary player. Ridiculous. But I do think the Bucks are going to outplay them pretty well. I think they're going to get their rushing game going actually in that game a bit more, trying to eat up some clock. And they don't have to play against the 12th man, which is huge, not having to listen to that Seattle crowd. So I got the Bucks moving up to play the Packers. Finally, we see that playoff Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers matchup, man.
Please.
Who do you got?
Please.
Zoo, let's just finish out the NFC. Who you got in that championship game?
Oh, this is tough, man. It hurts me to say. Oh, I'm a Packers fan. But then I picked the Buccaneers because I think they're the most complete team in the NFC.
In Lambeau, though. Weather.
I'm picking the Packers. I'm going to be biased. I'm going to pick the Packers, man. I can't pick against them. But in my heart, I still feel that the Buccaneers are the better team. Yeah. I think they're the better team. I think the offense and defensive balance is just much better than the Packers. But, man, I'm praying, man. I'm praying. Come on, Aaron Rodgers. You got to get it done. This is your opportunity to get that second Super Bowl, man. Yeah. You got an average defense, so all you got to do is be an elite on offense, playing against that pass rush, though, man. They love getting sacks. If they get to Aaron Rodgers, man, could be a long week of football.
We do have kind of a precedence there. They played earlier this season, and the Bucks whooped them by 4 touchdowns. Rodgers threw 2 of his 5 picks all year. 40% of his picks came against the Buccaneers. Granted, that was in Tampa Bay, which can be a huge difference playing in Tampa in that nice warm weather versus up in frigid Lambeau Field, man. I think that what it's going to come down to is how well the Bucks can run the ball. And Ronald Jones popped off for almost 120 yards against them, man. He played well. Montgomery's run well against the Packers. So I think the Bucks are going to take this one, man. We're going to get a Brady in the Super Bowl, the ageless wonder, man. I think they might come up, the Packers might come up just a bit short, and mainly I would put that on their defense. But at the same time, the Bucks have a pretty darn good defense, man. It's not as good as people thought it might be at the beginning of this year, top 3. But they still played relatively well. They were the best team to play against the Packers all year. They held them to 10 points, man. 10 points.
Man. Yeah, like I said, this is a biased pick. No, I can't put money on this pick. This is straight bias. This is my heart picking because I want it to happen. I need to see the Packers in the Super Bowl again.
Well, you know what? It's actually going to be a Bears-Bucks NFC Championship game if we're going on heart picks, man. That would be atrocious. Hey, but the Bears also beat the Bucks this year.
That was still the most shocking game of the year.
Either way, I think the NFC is going to turn out really interesting, but I have Brady coming out of the NFC. You got Rodgers coming out. What do you got in those AFC matchups to get you to the AFC Championship game?
The Kansas City Chiefs in our bracket gets to play the Cleveland Browns. Man, are you kidding me? Another butt whooping for Baker Mayfield, man. This is a team that lost to the Jets. They had nothing to play for.
The Rams.
Yeah. Do you know what they had to play for? Trevor Lawrence, man. They didn't want to win, and they still won. They lost Trevor Lawrence because of that game to the Jaguars. So Patrick Mahomes with all those weapons, Travis Kelce, the fastest man alive, and Tyreek Hill. Have mercy, man. Butt weapon. They're gonna drop easily 35 points.
I agree. I have this game going 38-20 in favor of the Just kidding. The Chiefs, man. It's going to be the Chiefs all the way. Can't pick against Mahomes. I don't really have anything else to say about that. We can all just – I don't even think that's going to be probably the lowest tuned into NFL playoff game purely because everybody knows the outcome. Moving on to the other one. This will be interesting because we both got the Bills. You got the Ravens, and I have the Titans. But I personally have the Bills coming out of this game beating the Titans. I don't think the Titans will have another shot at the AFC Championship game. I really don't. Like I said, Titans defense is going to get absolutely destroyed by Josh Allen, Diggs, John Brown, and Beasley. I think it's going to be a pretty big butt whooping, but this also could be a very high scoring game. This could be arguably the most high scoring game in the playoffs, in total. So I have the Bills winning 41-32.
Wow.
Against the Titans.
Shootout, man. I would love that, man. I would love that. But with me, with the Ravens versus the Bills, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm going with the man that can't throw a football in Lamar Jackson. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying this. I've been hating on him all year. I've been saying he's on a different tier. We got Mahomes, and you got that drop-off, and you got Lamar Jackson. But I think the better football team offensively and defensively with that rushing attack that I've been waiting for. I waited like 10 games until I saw that rushing attack that I want to see. They got rid of Mark Ingram, got injured. He got old J.K. Dobbins. Let's go, baby. Former MVP going to battle, I think is going to happen. Like Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, they go from not winning a playoff game to the conference finals pretty much. That's what you're picking. I think that's too big of a jump for that team. Josh Allen, dude, that's hard to do, man. You go from never winning.
Titans did it last year.
Yeah, that is true. That's still shocking. That is still shocking, man. But man, I think this is a pick'em game too.
Yeah,
a field goal. Justin Tucker gonna win it for them.
Touche. He ends up being the best weapon you can have at the end of a game. Let's be honest. He is the best kicker in the league. I know Younghoe Koo, but then again, he choked against the Chiefs to try and upset that number 1 seed. I can't give it to him, even though he's the Pro Bowler this year. I think the Bills are going to make it, but you know what, Zoo? I don't really think it matters when whoever makes the AFC Championship game because you and I both know the Chiefs are making the Super Bowl. Let's be honest. You want to move on to the Super Bowl picks because we know the Chiefs are
the Chiefs are in. Put them in, man. Put them in.
So, Zoo, you got Rodgers versus Mahomes, and I got Brady versus Mahomes. Granted, I'm sticking with I shouldn't say original, but my amended pick in the Buccaneers making it all the way after getting rid of that Lamar Jackson pick because that was atrocious. You got Rodgers and Mahomes. Who you going with?
Patrick Mahomes, man. Like I said, back-to-back, my preseason prediction, I thought they might have gone undefeated, man. They were pretty close. They didn't play in Week 17 because they didn't need to win the game. So that loss, I don't even count it. They had one unforgivable game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Still don't know how they lost. So, man, that team, man, looks unstoppable, man. The only way for that team to lose is some interceptions happening, some pick six, some fumbling, some special team action, some punt return. So you need like everything to go wrong, man. Because if this game is going to be a high-scoring game, Mahomes ain't losing a shootout. He ain't losing a shootout, man. If he gets the football and he gets the opportunity to throw it and he gets the ability to pass it to those weapons, Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, back-to-back, man. Back-to-back. Even though Aaron Rodgers, if that happens, it will be a shootout. It will be a shootout, and anything can happen in a shootout with these two elite quarterbacks that don't really throw picks, right? They don't really throw picks. They don't really turn the ball over. So it's going to be a game of pure skill. Yeah. Skilled players got to show up. I got to go with my preseason pick. I would love my Packers winning. If they lose, whatever, man. Mahomes losing another Super Bowl doesn't change my opinion about that guy losing to another goated quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. It's a win-win for me if this happens. It's a win-win for me.
That's true. I mean, look, Mahomes, I will say the last game that Mahomes played against the Falcons, he looked bad.
Man, he doesn't try, man. He didn't try.
They're fighting for the 1 seed. They somehow pulled it out. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, Zoo. I'm saying he had a bad game. Now he has 2 weeks.
Motivation, man. You see the Falcons, you just think of them blowing the leads against the Cowboys, man. You just think of that embarrassment of a team that fired their
And
coach.
almost lost.
They weren't trying.
All right, Zoo. They were fighting for the number 1 seed, man. If they lost that game, it would have come down to week 17 and they would have had to play. But besides the point, I do not have Aaron Rodgers making the Super Bowl. I got the old head OG versus the youngin', man, Patrick Mahomes. You know who I'm going with?
No, you're not gonna say it.
Tom Brady, man. I think they're gonna take down the Chiefs. They're gonna take down the Chiefs, man. Look, I think this is an interesting one because, like you said, it's really going to come down to who gets the ball more. Because I think that even in your situation or Tom Brady being in the Super Bowl, they're both going to be high-scoring games. Hopefully, way better than any low-scoring defensive Super Bowls we've seen in the past couple of years. This one should be great. I got Tom Brady clutching it up. You know he's going to be looking over that sideline, smiling at Mahomes like, hey, man, you got a while to go. Let me win one more. And he's going to win this one, and everyone's going to look at Belichick and be like, so this was really all Brady, huh? This was really all Brady. And he's going to have that 7th man. It's going to be beautiful. And Mahomes, but either way, I think if any one of those 3 quarterbacks that we just talked about win the Super Bowl, I'd be happy. Mm-hmm. Mahomes winning his 2nd, Rodgers 10 years waiting for his 2nd, having a monster season, could win MVP. He could win. He could sweep. He could get MVP, Super Bowl, and Super Bowl MVP all in the same year. That's Michael Jordan level.
Yeah,
man. That's Michael Jordan-esque. And hey, and if Tom Brady gets there and wins another one, he's won in both conferences. Not many people can say that. That's a pretty ridiculous feat as well.
And he would get 7 titles.
Seventh title, man. And there are not many Super Bowl teams that repeat, man. There are very minimal, if any. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Did Tom Brady repeat? Well, Tom Brady may have repeated, but that's it. That's all I could think about. So it's gonna be really fun to watch this playoffs, man. It's gonna be high. I think it's gonna be high scoring.
I hope so. I don't want no defensive games.
No
unders, man.
Good, man. I'm pumped because we get the extra game too. I mean, it's fun. Like there's 6 games this weekend, 3-3. It's going to be a good DraftKings weekend, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. I am pumped. I'm all in on playing Alvin Kamara, though. I think he's going to pop off for a bunch of touchdowns. If you're looking for an obvious play.
Man, Sean, who you got, man? Who you got for this Super Bowl?
Selfishly, what I want to see is Mahomes and Rodgers. But if I had to put money on it, I probably would go Bills and Bucks. Just because I think
Bills?
Yeah, I think the Bills are going to run it, bro. I think so, man. Serious? Yeah, man. Because I don't think Indy's a real good matchup for them. I think they're going to like do whatever with it. And then after that, like the fact that with the Bills they have 3 legit receiving options. Mm-hmm. I guess you could say their running back is whatever. Like it's okay, wash. But their defense is better than people think. Like their defense is really good.
Secondary, especially.
Plus 2, Sean McDermott, like. He's a hell of a coach, I feel like. And plus, he's a defensive guy. So, like, and I remember him a little bit because I think he was with the Panthers for a little while. But I just feel like the Bills kind of like they have that kind of like how Tennessee did last year. Like, I feel like if Tennessee didn't play KC last year, they would have made it to the Super Bowl because they just had like that role that was going on with Derek and all that stuff. So that's why I feel like that's the team they feel like. Now, coming in, they could probably lose in the first round. Who knows? But selfishly, I just want to see Rodgers and Mahomes because I feel like those are like right now in the game the 2 best throwers of the football. So like I would just love to see that in the Super Bowl because, like you said, when we saw the Rams and Patriots that year, God, that was so bad. Like, it was so bad. So I can't sit through another Super Bowl like that. So I would rather see Mahomes and plus 2. Like I said, I wouldn't be mad. Like whoever wins, like I don't care because it's like that's another one from Mahomes and like. If Rodgers gets that one, it really solidifies him as like one of the GOAT quarterbacks.
Yep.
I feel like, yeah.
He needs that second one. 10 years, man. It's been a decade.
Yeah, so it's crazy. And he kind of got
an opportunity, man.
For 10 years, Zoo, and it's only average.
And he kind of like people forget like that run he had. Like who is it that they played? They played at the one at Chicago in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
and they played Haney in the second half, so it wasn't like
was
Jay
a
Cutler
bye.
towards me.
yeah,
Jay Cutler was on a bike.
They
Yeah.
they barely beat him.
yeah.
Yeah, he was
So
on
I mean,
a bike.
I kind of want to see. I really want to see Rodgers like do something this year because a lot of it too hadn't been his fault. Like the defense has been giving up like
man,
45, 40 points every year. Yeah. So it's been kind of unfortunate.
Wow.
But
Buffalo Bills.
I like the Bills.
Wow.
I like the
This
Bills.
is
a lot.
from a man that was hating on Josh Allen, man. You're hating on Josh Allen for a whole year.
It took me, I will admit, it took me a while to get like on the train of Josh Allen because, and let's be honest though, Stephon Diggs helps a lot.
Oh yeah,
it helps a lot.
Absolutely,
like, he's the number one.
If he didn't have like, it'd be different if he was doing it with Cole Beasley and Brown and like another average receiver. But like Stephon Diggs is such a crazy receiver. Like I think that's helped Allen a lot because. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say he's on that level of Rodgers. He ain't. He got to give me 2-3 more years of that.
Mm-hmm.
Personally,
but if you took Devontae Adams off the Packers,
they won games, man. Aaron Rodgers throwing to Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Just like 2 balls for 100 yards a game.
I don't know how he does it, man. No one gets that little bomb, man. Just straight out bomb.
Yeah, you remember that one that he dropped against the Bears wide open? It hit his hands, man.
That's why he got Devontae as a number one.
Exactly. And my point is that every good quarterback needs a great receiver.
Yeah,
that's just how it is.
A number one guy.
So that's why the Bills made that trade for Diggs, and for however much they gave up, well worth it, man.
I'm getting him.
Well, except for the Browns. The Browns gave up for Odell, and they're in the playoffs.
True.
But I guess Jarvis.
Yeah.
Jarvis.
I don't know. I just feel like there's a curse on Odell, man. He peaked so fast.
He put that on himself. Yeah. He put that on himself, man. He got a little. I think he just got a little too comfortable with his abilities and work ethic. Personally, but he also got injured, so you can't blame him for this year.
Wow. But that injury was a low-key blessing, man. It unleashed the Browns.
It really did.
Like the balance of the rushing attack and the passing. Jarvis Landry's stats just went way up afterwards. So I don't know, man. They look receiver. They look better without their number one receiver.
That's a dark horse too, the Browns, because like their ability to run the football. I totally forgot about Chubb and Hunt. Like that could really be if Baker. I know this first game is going to be tough because of the like head coaching situation, but if they get through that first game, they could make a run because. In the playoffs, dude, being able to run the ball and not turn the ball over, like that could be a recipe for like getting to a Super Bowl, especially in the AFC. Now, it might be hard with Mahomes, but I mean their defense. I like the Browns.
Cleveland Browns.
No, Zoo. They'd have to hope that the Colts beat the Bills.
Yeah,
and then they wouldn't play. They would be playing either Tennessee or Baltimore, and I think the Browns would have a legitimate chance there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if the Colts win, which I think is a little bit more possible than people are giving them credit for, just because of their defense, you never know how well they played the Packers pretty well. Obviously, I think the Packers ended up pulling through in that game. I could be wrong, but I mean, the Browns could scare some people just because of their running game. They're not affected by weather. No. They're really not.
Plus, Baker, if he only throws the ball 18 to 20 times, if that, they have a really good chance. Like if he's going 25, it's kind of like the Lamar method, like how Lamar runs for like 100 and then he throws for like 175, like kind of like that.
Yeah,
but
just doing enough and keeping everyone involved. They need to hold the ball. They need to hold the ball, run the clock, no matter who they're playing. Speaking of the Browns, they need like that's why their rushing attack is so brutal, is they can just dominate time of possession.
Yep.
Which is not what Mahomes wants to see. He wants the ball, man. He's antsy on that sideline. You can see it all the time. He's like talking to himself. He's like, I want the ball back, man. I want the ball back. But if you're not giving it back to him,
definitely.
That's when the Chiefs are in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. But selfishly, like I said, I'd want to see Green Bay and the Chiefs because I just feel like that would be an excellent Super Bowl. It'd be high.
Agreed.
And plus, too, it'll be in Florida, so it'll be fast track, like all that. So good weather. But we're going to transition. That was a lot of football talk. We're going to transition to the NBA. I understand it's really, really, really early. The standings are really wacky. I'm not going to lie. They're really, really wacky. wacky. I would say I think Cleveland's got a really decent record. The Knicks have a decent record. The Hawks have looked good, which is I don't think anybody would say, like, I guess within the first 8 or 10 games that would be, the standings. But I'm gonna ask these guys' thoughts on what they, I guess, the ups and downs of the NBA season so far. And Zhu, I'm gonna go ahead and finish the night with you, man.
NBA, man, yesterday was a tough loss for my Bulls. But they've been looking pretty solid right now. I got to give a shout out to the Bulls. They look like a 500 ball club right now.
Kobe.
Shout out to Kobe White dropping 36 career high, man. Shout out to Kobe White. Man.
He's hitting tough shots, man.
Dude, Kobe White is a bucket, man. Like I say, he's second coming of Lou Will, man. Second coming of Lou Will. But, man, for the biggest surprise, I got to go with the New York Knicks, man. How the hell are the New York Knicks 5-3, man, under Tom Thibodeau? Julius Randle, man. 22, 10, and 7? Stop it, man. 22, 10, and 7 is those are all-star numbers.
Yeah.
All-star numbers, 22, 10, and 7. Jesus Christ, man. They're in the playoffs right now. They're a 5 seed right now. Obviously, that will change probably after 3-4 weeks, man. Finally, the standings are starting to look normal, man. But I got to give a shout-out to Tom Thibodeau coaching up this young roster. Mitchell Robinson, man. R.J. Barrett.
Obi Toppin.
Like, the entire roster is like under 25, especially the starting lineup, man.
Yeah.
So I got to give it to the Knicks, man. Surprise team, 5-3. I thought they were going to be 1-6.
You know what, Zhu? I'm going to go with a player that has surprised me. And it's purely because you called this man the MVP this year. Luka Doncic shooting 19% from three, man. That is 12% down year over year. You know what JJ Barea said on JJ Redick's podcast? He's like, this man does not focus on conditioning whatsoever, and it's becoming a problem. Quote, JJ Barea, the man that has played with Luka Doncic. Luka is pulling hey, my talent is better than what I need to work on. He's averaging 25. That is not MVP numbers. Giannis, we'll see. It's obviously way too early, but come on, man. The Mavericks are 3-4. I had them coming in at the number 2 seed this year. They'll probably rebound. That's fine. But Luka Doncic, man, you better step up your game. You lost to the Chicago Bulls, man. Get your team in order.
Luka didn't play that game. You cannot blame Luka on that game. He was sick.
But still, he's shooting 19% from 3. Get your team in order, man. They were a very high up team for a lot of people this year. And so far they're not living up. But like we said, only 10% into the season, really, 7 games.
But just look at his last game. This is Luka out of shape. 33, 11, and 16 against the Houston Rockets.
Shooting percentage?
Man, he shot 48% in that game.
Okay, that's not bad.
Luka Doncic,
MVP, man.
I'm saying he's the MVP, so he got to win a lot more games. He's obviously 3-4. That's pathetic right now, but it's only 7 games. That hasn't even been 10 games yet. But the brothers putting up 25, 9, and 7, and that's a slow start. Imagine what he saw.
Yeah.
Imagine when he starts hitting threes, because no way he's going to be shooting 21% from 3. No way. It's called regression to the mean.
Yeah, regression. Exactly.
Regress up.
You think he's going to go up?
Yeah. Dude, he's always been a low 30% three-point shooter at least.
He'll end under 30 this year, I think. But the other surprise, I got to give a quick shout out to Doc Rivers and the 76ers, man.
Yeah, they look good.
They're looking solid. Embiid is looking MVP level right now. He is a monster. I'm genuinely surprised, man. I'm genuinely surprised at that. I'm also genuinely surprised. Actually, I'm not really that surprised at how poorly the Wizards are doing, man. I told you they wouldn't mesh, and you were like, "Oh, they're gonna be in. They're in for sure." Long time to go, as we know, but still, man, it is not looking good. The Nets are meshing better. Obviously, they have a better tandem in Irving and Durant. But man, Bradley Beal though, we got 2 60-point games so far this NBA season. That's pretty impressive for only 7 to 8 games in.
Yeah, man, especially like the man dropped 60 points and he still lost.
And he lost.
What more can this dude do, man? 20 for 35? 13 for 15 from the free throw line? How much more can this man do? I don't know. I just don't know, man.
He lost to the Bulls too, man.
Yeah.
That was great. My Bulls handing 2 W's, 2 L's to the Wizards.
But yeah, it's early in the season, so we can't really make too many predictions. But I will say, I think the biggest surprise, Zoo, I agree with you, overall is definitely the Knicks play. And I would love to put it all on Thibodeau, honestly, because I think he's really just pushed everybody to do their best and come together more importantly, because that is clearly an issue that the Knicks have had over the years, is not getting people to want to play together. But I guess when you're that bad, people are pretty desperate.
Yeah. I will say that. I think one of the surprises for me is Cleveland, just the 2 guards. Yeah. I just feel like they wouldn't be a great fit because they're 2-point guards and they're like short. But Colin Sexton is like turning up another gear. Like, you know, like I say, all these games this early, you don't know how people are meshing and what they're trying to do. But he looks like a player. He looks like a guy who could, you know, maybe fight and battle for the play-in. I think with the East, man, there's so many teams like outside of the Magic now because of Markelle getting hurt. Like, I feel like everybody has a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, because I know there's 2 more seeds, but, you know, even with Washington, they look bad now. And I'm kind of now like, I know it's early too, but I'm kind of just like, they need to just trade Bill and see what they – like, I'm kind of over it. Like, because you know what you're going to get with Russell. Like, it's just – they got a lot of decent young guys, so they should just add more young pieces and see what they can do, like, just restart. Because I feel like with Bill, I mean, they got a name star, but he's obviously – I don't feel like a type of player. And it's early, but I don't know if he's the type of player that could, like, lift them, especially with Russell on the roster too. It's just hard because those 2 dominant guards, it's like, I don't know if – what's the guy, Denny or whatever, and the other guys. Yeah. Like they got – I just feel like they should trade them and get whatever. But I don't know, man. I feel like the East especially, it's going to be interesting. The Hawks, man, they look really good. Now, they can't play any defense at all.
No.
At all. Like, it's bad. But I
shoot.
think Trey
can score.
Yeah, Trey. Like I say, everybody knows you should have taken Luka instead of Trey. But Trey's making it kind of like, you're at least looking like, okay. Like, everybody still will go with Luka, but Trey is on a, like, type of scoring. Plus, too, he gets a lot of calls to be, like, a young guy. He gets a lot of foul calls.
He gets a lot. He knows how to manipulate the calls, man. He destroyed the Bulls for that, man. He put Levine out of the game.
That's the game I was watching.
Trouble. I remember. That was a pathetic game.
Levine had a big shot. Who was it against? Charlotte? I can't remember who it was against.
Now against Trailblazers, man. Yeah. Oh, that was so nice, man.
That team looks nice, man.
That was a healthy Blazers team. That was a really good team. They beat. Yeah. Too bad I lost to the Kings.
They got a nice guard, that Halliburton kid. I like him a lot. Yeah, he's got a weird shot. Ball,
man. He hit this 3.
Yeah, he's got a funny looking shot, but it goes in. So
they missed the cover by a half point too.
Oh,
they were plus 3.5, man. They lost by 4.
Oh man,
but it's early.
Yeah, it is early. And with the NBA season, I feel like a lot of it's going to start getting geared up, like right after Martin Luther King Day with, like, I guess a lot of the teams. And we're going to see, you know, a lot of rookies look good this year. LaMelo Ball's actually playing really well.
They all look solid. Like, all the top 5, they're all playing pretty well.
For flopping.
What? Oh, yeah, I did see that. I forgot.
He almost got fined for flopping. He got hit, and then he tried to go back and flop again. He tried 2 flops in one play, man.
Yeah,
but yeah, they give LaMelo all the attention, man. But I'm interested in some of the guys like Halliburton and all those, the guys that you don't see as much coverage. But if you watch them play, man, they could be legitimate players too.
Yeah,
you look good.
Yeah, but that's all the time we have for today. This podcast actually closing in, I think, close to an hour. So, you know, the NFL playoffs was a huge topic we had to get in. We got the picks, we got our NBA topics in as well. As always, make sure you guys follow us on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, the whole 9. Also follow us on Bullheaded Pod. We have a lot of content we put up daily. And as always, for Zhu and P-Bush, signing out.